When I was just starting to learn English, I had this weird feeling. I was using all the right words, all the right grammar, but I sounded very boring, even a little bland. And only over time, after living in the US for a while and then after moving to Canada, I finally realized what it was. All I needed to do was replace my textbook phrases with the ones that native speakers actually used. So if you have the same feeling, then this video is for you because today we are going to learn 10 expressions that will help you speak like a native. Let's imagine for a second that you bump into your friend, your colleague, or just someone you know. And instead of asking the usual, how are you doing, next time I want you to ask this. What have you been up to? Native speakers use this question all the time, and it means, what have you been doing?
What have you been up to, Katie?
What have you been up to?
What have you been up to?
If you listen carefully, you will notice that native speakers don't pronounce the word have fully. They don't say, what have you been up to? Instead, they drop the H completely and they pronounce of, just the schwa sound, and then the v sound. What of, not what have, but what of. What have you been up to? Also, in the word what, they don't pronounce the true T. Instead, they pronounce something that we call flap T. What of, da-da-da. So it sounds like the D sound. You might have noticed that in the word, let's say, water. Americans don't say water, right? They say water. Do you hear that D sound? Da-da-da-da-da, water. Or let's say bottle. They don't say bottle, right? They say bottle, especially Americans. So this is something that we call flap T. Going back to our example, what of. Repeat after me. What of. What have you been up to?
What have you been up to, Katie? What have you been up to, Katie? What have you been up to, Katie?
Did you hear that? Now I'll tell you more. When speaking very fast, sometimes we even drop the V sound in have. So instead of would've, we say woulda. Just the schwa sound. Woulda. What have you been up to?
What have you been up to? What have you been up to? What have you been up to?
Now, let's talk about sentence stress. In most cases, we are going to stress the word what and up. What have you been up to? Once again, what have you been up to?
So what have you been up to?
What have you been up to all this time?
But sometimes when you are asking this question back after someone asked you the same question, you are going to stress the word you. For example, my friend asks me, hey, Veronica, what have you been up to? And I say, nothing much. What have you been up to? You see, I'm stressing you because I'm kind of like returning the same question.
What have you been up to?
What have you been up to?
There are a few more options that you can use. For example, you can say, what have you been up to lately? You can add the word lately. Or what have you been up to recently? Another option, what are you up to these days? What are you up to these days?
What have you been up to lately?
What are you up to these days?
What are you up to these days?
Let's move on to the next expression. When you suddenly understand something, instead of saying, I suddenly understood, or I realized, native speakers very often use this expression. It dawned on me. For example, I can say, it dawned on me that I left my wallet at home.
Suddenly it dawned on me. It dawned on me.
But guys, don't confuse the word down with ow, as in brown. For example, I can say, the store is down the street. And the word dawn with the aw, as in John. It dawned on me. Okay, repeat after me. Down, dawn. Down, dawn. You know what? It dawned on me that I forgot to mention something important. I'm really happy that you're watching this video lesson and you're learning new expressions that native speakers actually use. However, it's one thing when you just watch a video and try to remember those phrases, and it's a completely different thing when you're trying to use them in speaking. Because when we try to say those expressions, we make some grammar mistakes, pronunciation mistakes, or we might use that expression in the wrong context. That's why if you really want to learn how to use those expressions in speaking, you need to first of all practice them, try to use them, actually open your mouth, and most importantly, get feedback. You need someone who is going to give you feedback on your grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation. So for those people who want to actually start using new vocabulary, new grammar in speaking, I created my speaking club. It's a 1-month intensive course in small group, 3 to 5 students only, where we're working on fluency, vocabulary, confidence. I've been running my speaking club for a year now, and it's brought incredible results. It has achieved all the goals that we've set for this program, and that's why I decided that this launch, the November launch, is going to be the last one. So this is your last chance to work with me in a tiny group of 3 to 5 students only and finally achieve fluency. All the information is going to be down here below. Click the link and learn more about my speaking club. Imagine your friend wants to ask you out for a cup of coffee. So he says, would you like to go for a coffee? So instead of just saying yes or okay, I want you to use these expressions. I'm in. Count me in. I'm down, or I'm down for it. I'm up to it. Now, let's discuss these expressions in more details. We usually use them when we are agreeing to something or when we are accepting an invitation. For example, we are planning a weekend trip to Mexico. Want to join? Absolutely. I'm in.
Okay, I'm in.
Another example, we are starting a new workout challenge next week. Sounds fun. Count me in.
Count me in too.
The two previous expressions, I'm in and count me in, have pretty much the same meaning. Now let's talk about the phrase, I'm down for it, or sometimes you might hear, I'm down with it. Now the meaning here is a little bit different. When I say I'm down for it, what I mean is, I want to join. I want to be part of it. For example, how about going out for tacos tonight? Oh yeah, I'm down for some tacos.
I'm down for pizza.
But the expression, I'm down with it, means I agree with it. I'm okay with that, kind of like I don't mind. For example, how about we start the meeting an hour later? Sure, I'm down with that. I don't mind. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
I'm down with that.
And the last expression, my parents are coming over tonight. Want to help me cook? Sure, I'm up to it.
I'm up to it.
This last expression is very often used in the negative form, though. For example, I can say, I don't think I'm up to it.
I don't know if I'm up to it.
Moving on to the next expression. Imagine for a second that your friend wants to borrow your phone, and he asks, hey, can I use your phone? So instead of saying, okay, or go ahead, or feel free, I want you to use this one. Be my guest.
Be my guest.
Another example, let's say you're waiting in line and there is a chair next to you. It's not occupied. There is a guy who comes up to you and says, hey, mind if I sit here? You can say, be my guest. So this expression usually sounds friendly, pretty polite, maybe a little playful. But guys, everything depends on your intonation because it could sound sarcastic, kind of like as if you are a little bit annoyed. For example, I'm not going to that party, but if you want to go, be my guest.
If you want to go after him, burn his house down,
Be my guest.
If you want to go out there and freeze to death, you be my guest.
There is actually another expression with a very similar meaning. So instead of saying, do what you want or have it your way, I don't care, you can say, suit yourself. For example, I don't want to come to the party. Suit yourself, but you'll miss all the fun.
Suit yourself.
You want to go and look, suit yourself.
Okay, yep, suit yourself.
Let's move on to the next phrase. Imagine for a second that you're shopping for a dress with your friend. She tries on a few dresses, but nothing really looks good on her. And then she finds this dress that looks stunning. So she asks you, hey, how do you like this dress? And instead of saying, finally, yeah, that's the dress, you can say, now we're talking, which means, yay, finally, we found it.
Now we're talking.
But guys, be careful. Sometimes this expression can be really sarcastic. Like, especially when, it's as if all the previous options were really bad and finally, this is a good option. You know what I mean? So it can sound a little sarcastic, so be careful. And with that, we are moving on to our last expression, my personal favorite. Imagine a situation where your friend gets into trouble and you want to support your friend and you want to say that you feel really sorry about the whole situation, but you are not sure if your words are going to be helpful, So instead of saying, I don't know if this will help, but I'm sorry, you can use this expression. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. So this phrase, for what it's worth, means I don't know if it's helpful, but I still want to say this.
For what it's worth, we're both very sorry.
For what it's worth, I'm sorry.
For what it's worth, I'm sorry this is happening to you.
Generally, we use this phrase when we want to support our friends, especially when they're doubting themselves or when they're going through a rough patch. So let's have a look at a few more examples.
For what it's worth, I think you're brilliant as you are.
For what it's worth, I think you'd make a great dad.
For what it's worth, I think you're amazing.
I also want to mention that it's a very humble way to show your support because you are basically saying that it's only my opinion, I don't know if it's helpful. So it's a very subtle way to express your support. I don't know if it's helpful, but I think you're great. I think you are doing amazing. But it's just my opinion.
Maybe it doesn't mean much, but for what it's worth, I think you're doing a great job.
That's it for today. But before I let you go, I have prepared something really special for you. I've built a PDF file with all these expressions and extra examples, and on top of that, practice activities, because I really want you to remember those expressions. So if you would like to get that PDF, all you need to do is click the link down below, subscribe to my newsletter, and I will send the PDF to your inbox right away. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel and don't forget to like, comment, share, and I'll see you in my next video lesson.